Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, Kol Halal Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. I want to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His Son Yahushai. Peace and blessings be upon the elect of Israel. Alright, the men, women, and children of our nation, of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay? This truth is for you, alright? And I just want to address something that G-Man tried to escape, man. Alright, because he's an emotional, wacky, tacky, messy, sloppy Christian, alright? And that's what Christianity does to you. It makes you become tacky and messy in your beliefs and what is to be true. So, what he's slipping up on, alright, and he didn't want to admit because he's emotional, alright, is the fact that Miriam, when the cloud departed off of her, she became white as snow, and her brothers looked at that as sin. And the simple fact is that to have your pigment stripped from you, alright, like these so-called white people, these Edomites, is indeed a sin and it is a curse. Alright, when you read Leviticus 13th chapter and the 14th chapter, it speaks about the blonde hair and the blemishes and that condition and how it's unclean, and you are deemed unclean because of that. Alright, now I'm driving right now, but I kind of want to speak on that because a lot of our people, they're emotional, okay? A lot of our people, yes, they're upset about our condition, and some of them do blame it on the so-called white man, but at the end of the day, they still look at him as a brother, as somebody that can receive salvation. Now, there are some of our people, just like the elders and apostles were saying on the highways and byways, some of our men slept with these heathen women, specifically these Edomite women. So now our children, all right, and you have Edomites descendants, or you have Israelites who are descendants of our forefathers that look like Edomites. They have that condition where their skin doesn't have any pigment, and that is a curse. You know, that is shameful. But at the same time, we're cursed in other ways. You know what I mean? So that's just having that, you know, alone should not discourage the confusion that faces out there. However, the simple fact still stands that G-Man was avoiding, and that's that to have your pigment stripped of you is a curse. If color didn't matter, all right, and color was supposed to be left out of the scripture, all right, then why do several of the men of the Lord speak about the description of their skin? Jeremiah says that his skin was black upon him. Job says that his skin was black. And again in Jeremiah, he said that the Jews are black, basically. Judah is black and the gates of their language. All right, there's even a description of Yahushai, the way that he looks. All right, and his hair was white. It was not blonde. That's another thing. To have blonde hair is also a curse. The scripture refers to it as having a yellow hair in the skin. All right, that is in the eyes of the Most High, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, that is not deemed righteousness. All right, and to be good in His sight. Okay, that having that blemish is no bueno. Okay, it's no good. La'atawab. It's not good. Alright, and if you're emotional, and if this offends you, then you just can't accept the truth of the scriptures. A lot of our people who are into Christianity, they read the book like it's a story, like it's a novel, you know, like it's story time or something. No, this book tells us how to govern our lives and what's right and what's wrong. And when you read Leviticus, the 13th chapter, Leviticus, the 14th chapter, all right, it cannot be denied what that's talking about. All right, just like in Jeremiah, I think it's the 10th chapter, when it talks about they take a tree out of the woods, they cut it, they deck it with silver and gold. That cannot be talking about anything else aside from the custom and celebration of what we know today as Christmas. It has to be that. Just like the thing with the pigment. All right, and again, Miriam had to be dark-skinned because they're in that precept, and I'll put it in post-production. In that precept, it said, then her skin was turned to her other flesh. All right, well, if it turned white as snow and then it turned to her other flesh, what was her other flesh's color? All right, they were descendants of Adam, right? Adam came and was created from the dust of the earth, from the ground. And what color is the soil? The soil is brown. So Miriam was a brown-skinned woman, okay? She wasn't blue, she wasn't yellow, and that's another thing. The Moabites and Ammonites, the Chinese, all right, they have pigment to a certain degree. It's a little less, but they have pigment, and they had pigment because Abraham's nephew Lot had pigment in his skin, all right? You may have some other nations like Japhet, all right, that are a lighter skin, a lighter tone than us, but they still have that pigment, all right? They don't have that curse placed upon them like the curse that Cain received. Cain received a mark, and that mark is indeed the strip of his pigment. Because back then everybody had melanin in their skin, all right? Everybody was dark, was a different shade of brown, if you will. Okay, that cannot be denied. The people of the Bible, the people who wrote the scriptures, were people of color. You so-called white people, all right, you come from Esau, Edom, and that's the thing, you have to go into words. When we say you're Esau, Edom, we say it because of what those names mean. Names have actual meanings. Esau, when Esau was born, or Joshua, it means wasted away, or wasted away is it or he. Asha, wasted or done. Wa on the end means he or it. What was wasted away? His skin. When Esau was born of Isaac and Rebekah, he received that name because of what he looked like and what his children would look like. Then his name, and I think it's Genesis 36:1, I'll put the precept up. It says that Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And now when you look up Edom, it's Adawam, which means red. When you go on Google Translate, you can type in the word red and then type it and then switch it to translate into Hebrew, and it's going to say Adawam. It's going to say Adawam. Now, why are you red? Because it's your blood, all right, your blood vessels is showing through your skin. I work with Edomites. When they blush and when they get upset or they feel a certain way, their face turns cherry red. Hell, your own people, you Caucasians, your own people, call you rednecks. You know, they call you rednecks. So it can't be denied who the Edomites are. And you're red, all right, because you don't have pigment. All right, because you're going back to your grandfather, your ancestors, your forefathers, and your foremothers, the Edomites. The Lord placed that upon you just like we placed a curse upon us. Our curses in Deuteronomy 28, they were placed upon us so we would know who we are. It says that in the I think it was 48 or 49. They shall be upon us for a sign and a wonder for all our generations. So basically, if you ever wanted to know who the Edomites were, or the Israelites, Yasha Allah, you could read the curses that were placed upon them forever, and that would define in detail who they are. Just like you Edomites. There's curses and there's descriptions of who the Edomites are in the scriptures and what they would be doing and how they would look. All right? In the latter times and back then. So now what you do is, if you're spiritual, you look about all these nations on earth and you see who fits this description, man. Who is coming out red all over like a hairy garment? What does Shayar mean? When you look up Mount Seir, all right, where Esau dwelt, in the Hebrew, Mount Seir is Har Shayar. Har, mountain, or Mount Shayar, meaning hairy. Okay, and these Edomites are in fact hairy as all hell, man. I work with some Edomites. They got hair. They got so much hair all over them, man. They're like hogs, man, fucking groundhogs. You know, if they don't go too long without shaving, they start growing hair every damn where, man. And it's in their genetics. You have some Israelites that are hairy or whatever, but not the majority of us, man. Because that's not how we're described. We're not cursed like these Edomites. These Edomites are cursed, man, through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, and that is in fact a curse. It's the curse of leprosy. You got something called vitiligo or albino. Okay, and I'll put pictures of that up. And that's basically what was upon Miriam. That's why Moses and Aaron, her brothers, were looking at her and then praying to the Lord like, please don't place this sin upon our sister. You know, we don't want this upon her. It's going to be a disgrace basically to our nation, man. Here it is, you have perfect brown skin you've been created with. All right, and then you may have a sprinkle of spots here and there of blemishes of vitiligo or leprosy. All right. Now, like I said, in the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, that is a curse, man. You are deemed unclean. All right, but in the kingdom, we're not going to have to worry about that, you know? We're not going to have to worry about that like in ancient times. When you go into those laws, there's a specific process of how you become clean. The priests, the Levites at the time, would have to come back and forth to check up on you and go through a process for cleaning and getting rid of that. Why? Because that's a curse, man. You Edomites, and just like G-Man, G-Man doesn't want to answer it because his butt buddy, Jesus is the word, or Jesus is absurd, is his friend, man. He's got a bunch of so-called white people as friends and stuff that he knows. Hey, man, I know Akim in this truth who look like so-called white people, but they don't get emotional about what the scripture says, and we don't get emotional, man. That's another thing. You got to remove emotions out of your spirit in order to get this truth, man. If you're dealing with emotions, you're not going to get this, all right? Because we're dealing with the spirit and rationale of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, man. And it cannot be broken. It cannot be undone. All right, so you Christians, it's not going to work, man. All right, we don't care how emotional you get or how you try to come with your attacks about the truth, but the truth of the matter is that leprosy and having skin like the so-called white man is a curse. Okay, that is a curse that was placed upon Cain, and it was a curse that was placed upon Esau, which if you can receive it, there's reincarnation. All right, Cain came back as Esau, man, and that's another thing you Christians can't deal with, and G-Man didn't deal with, is the fact that that's a curse, man. All right, and there's reincarnation in the scriptures. Okay, so with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Call hello Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Shalom to the elect. I hope this is edifying, and double honors to our elders and apostles, a great millstone. Shalom.